Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Islam in Life with me, Reza Ghazim. Environment of Hate, the new normal for Muslims in the UK, is the Islamic Human Rights Commission's report's title and seems to encapsulate their findings of the rise of anti-Muslim hatred in the UK. Other reports from this group and other groups seem to paint a similar picture across the West. What can one do with Muslim haters? How do you turn that hate to love? Is that even the right question to be asking? Should they just be ignored?
Muslims are increasingly becoming targets of hate crime. How should Muslims respond? Where there is genuine confusion about Islam and the values Muslims stand for, it becomes paramount for each Muslim to stand up and clarify the real message of Islam. In such cases, it is vital that Muslims speak out and defend their religion. However, the most effective manner of combating anti-Muslim sentiments, according to most scholars, is by practicing Islam in its real sense, by embodying the values of Islam, showing compassion and love to all people, caring for the sick, neighbors, the elderly, and the orphans. It means announcing Islam to the world through our mannerism.
We're honored to be joined by our esteemed guest, Professor Tariq Ramadan, to discuss all of these issues. Welcome to the program, Professor.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I wanted to start off by asking about that there is genuine confusion about the issue of Islam, about understanding Islam. How is that, these misconceptions, how are these misconceptions supposed to be combated?
Look, I think it's very important to understand that, once again, if we look at the West today, the majority perception is very negative about Islam. And there are many reasons, and we need to understand, in order to come with the right answer, what are the reasons, what is happening. So there is one thing, which once again, it's not because of what we are witnessing now, it's a very old story about the relationship between the West and Islam, and this binary vision that Islam is against the West or the West. In fact, even Europe was built against the other, and the other was Islam, and first Europe was a Christian civilization and then a Judeo-Christian civilization after the Second World War. So Islam was outside. So there are things here which are very deep in the historical unconsciousness within the West, which is very important. The second has to do with what we are witnessing today with violence and violent extremism and violence everywhere in Muslim majority countries. So there is a perception once again that Islam has to do with this. Add to this that this violence came to target the West and the European countries. In the United States or in Europe, in London, what happened in 2005. So violence is another reason. And add to this, a third reason is coming from politicians, that some are instrumentalizing this fear of Islam by nurturing a sense that, the reason of all our socio-economic problems is Islam. These are the people. So yesterday we were talking about Pakistani, we were talking about Turkish people, we were talking about Arab people coming to the country. Now they are all Muslims. So Islam is targeted. So there is a strategic diversion from targeting or tackling the socio-economic issues to saying, we have a cultural problem with these people. So we need to understand that there are many levels, many different reasons, and for each of these reasons we need to find the right way of answering and responding.
So in terms of that idea, because there is also the thing that there are some people who have genuine misconceptions and just don't get it. But there are others who maybe are saying the same thing, but they are actually saying it with a view to promoting anti-Muslim hatred. How do we tackle both of those groups of people?
Yes, you're right. And I think that this is very important, not to respond to the people who are genuinely questioning and scared, as if they are playing and they are racist. No, people are scared because of what they see. For example, we know that in certain regions, locations within our society, where there is no Muslims are living over there, the people are even more against Islam. Why? Because this is what they see on TV and the media. So they are very much scared. So we need to get this understanding that we have to do something about a better communication, a better presence, a better activity and interpersonal interaction with our fellow citizens and our fellow residents. This is one thing. At the same time, we should not be naive that we have people, politicians or intellectuals, they are nurturing this for many reasons. It could be, for example, as I said, to divert the attention of the citizens from the serious socioeconomic problems, unemployment and things like this. But it can also be for international, the international scene. People are scared and they are nurturing this because they have an international agenda. And for example, we know that some of the people who are very, very much pro-Zionist in the West are nurturing this because they don't want the Western Muslim citizens to be involved and to come with another voice, to be vocal about international issues. So with this, we have to have a very clear political agenda. We should not be naive. It's not like coming and saying, you know, Islam is nice, we're nice, that we are going to solve the problem. Here it has to do with politics. It has to do with law and the legal framework. On the other side, when we speak with average Europeans, for example, average British people, we need to explain more. We need to listen. We need to, in fact, respect the fears of the people, which sometimes is missing with Muslims. In the clip we have this, compassion and understanding. We need more compassion. We need to understand when people are coming and they are killing you in the streets, or the perception is that we are even in danger in our streets. It's important for us to understand.
How does one respond to the Muslim haters? Because one of the things is that if, for example, you don't respond, then you're leaving the door open for all sorts of people to say all sorts of things and spout rubbish about it. How do you go about responding? Should you be responding?
It depends. It depends. If we, for example, are talking about the group of people who are politicians and intellectuals who are distorting the very image of Islam, this is where we have to come and to be quite with robust answers here, that we need to expose them. We need to expose what they are trying to do, why they are trying to do this. So we need to have the political mind, the strategic mind, say what do they want and how are they playing the game. And this is where we need not to miss the target. We're not here talking only about Islam. It's about who are you. Instead of telling us who we are not as Muslims, as a danger, we want to know who you are. What are you doing? With whom are you playing? Which interests are you supporting? So this means that we have to be equipped. We need to have, to go for research, to know who are these people who are playing and what are the connections that they could be. For example, today in Europe, we have a connection of people, populist or from the far right or pro-Zionist. They are playing. We know this. This is written. We have research. We need to know about this. When it comes now to people who are racist and they can, for example, go beyond the law, they are just now, in a way, discriminating you on the job market, discriminating you and targeting you and insulting you. When this is going beyond the law, we should not be quiet. The response here, there are laws in this country. We are not going to let you do this. Because if we let you do this, we are all in danger. So when you insult, when you slanders or targeting or racism, this is our social discrimination on the job market. We have to go for the law and do never let the people insulting or discriminate us. And then there is a third answer, which has to do with our fellow citizens. And this is where I'm very often saying to Muslims, please stop talking about Islam or saying what Islam is not. As it was said in the clip, be Muslims instead of speaking about Islam. In the way you deal with your ethics of citizenship, in the way you interact with the people. Expose your, or show or be witnesses of your religion in the way you behave, in the way you serve. At the end of the day, you should be an added value. So depending where you are, there are different strategies and different means that you have to use.
One of the things that becomes a problem, that you talked about the racists and the people who are discriminated against you. Now, within that, if you are actually going onto talking to them and trying to do something with them, are you not legitimizing their presence and their kind of thing when they're in the extremities of society, because there's a difference between engaging with politicians and engaging with intellectuals, and comparing that, should we engage at the same level with the right-wing extremists, for example?
Yeah. No, you're right. I think that this is a decision that you have to take, and it has to do with who are you talking to and why are you talking to some people. Some of the people that have been elected, they are in the political landscape within your society. You have to talk to them, even though they might be hypocritical in the way they deal with Islam. They might target Islam. For example, we had a former prime minister just after 9/11 who was saying, this is Islam and the Muslims should solve the problem. He wanted us to forget about his own foreign policy, which is just a joke about this. So we have to challenge, we have to be there. Now you have extremists and you have far-right parties. These people, you have to be very careful, because sometimes if you go, the only fact that you sit with them, you talk to them, you think that you come with arguments, and they win the debate only because you are there. Whatever you say, whatever the discussion, if you win with something which is rational, they will even say, oh, they are dangerous. So they are building on emotional politics. So we have to be very cautious. Sometimes it's better not to go, not to speak, not to legitimize them within the political arena. And sometimes, in some very specific situation, you should go and you should challenge them if, at this point, it's important to have your voice heard.
Some interesting points, and we'll pick up some of these later. We do like to keep this show as interactive as possible and really value your opinion. Here is what you sent us this week.
This week we asked, how should Muslims respond to the haters? Salma from India said, we should respond swiftly, because if we don't, the hate will spread and we can become victims of genocide. Michael from Portugal said, it is annoying that we are constantly having to defend our faith, but we also can't ignore these haters because they tend to influence those who don't know much about Islam. We should clarify about the peaceful nature of Islam. And Hamida from Egypt said, I think we just need to practice Islam as it is meant to be, and that will be enough response for all the haters. Love in exchange for hate.
Well, we have to speak with them because they think we're all Muslims representing like ISIS. We have to go and speak with them. This is not that we are. So I think, yes, we have to go and speak with them, open their minds, and think like that way it works. It will work, inshallah.
Media try to show some stereotype, untrue stereotype. So I would say, like, let's talk, let's invite others to our mosques, our Husseiniya, and let them ask their questions from us.
Hate begets hate, and nobody is born a hater. So clear out those misconceptions. Show them what the real Islam is all about. Love, compassion, humanity.
We deal with it the same way Prophet, peace be upon him, did, with the best of etiquette. All anti-anything feelings rise from fear, so we must create opportunities to get to know each other.
That's all the comments we have for this week. If you'd like to have your comments featured in the show, be sure to follow us on Facebook or join us on Twitter.
As you saw, you can send your own videos with your comments and even your questions to us through our social media pages, and we'll talk about them in the program. I do want to pick up one of these things that was actually talked about, and it's something that you touched on before we showed these VTs, and this is about the idea that there is a good, if only we showed the true face of Islam by being good Muslims, that somehow their response would actually change. Is it really as simple as that? Is that really going to happen?
No, I think that what we said before, it's very important. There are levels and there are people who are working. Some people, they are spreading hate and they know Islam better than many Muslims. They know exactly what it's about. And this is exactly why they don't want us to be heard in our societies. So we should not be naive. It's not, it was said we should follow in the footsteps of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Yes, but he was dealing with hypocrites and he was dealing with people who were scared about their own power. And they knew exactly that this message was not against them. It was about spreading peace, Ifshu Salam, which is part of what Islam is all about. So we need to be clever, not to be simplistic or naive in the way we deal with some intellectuals and some politicians who are they know exactly what they are doing, while at the same time, part of what was said in the VT, it's true. Idfa' billati hiya ahsan, respond in the best way. So we have first not to be put in a situation where we are on the defensive, explaining what Islam is not, but at the end the best. لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ, for you to bear witness to the message before people. This is what you have to do. So let the people understand that our presence in the West is an added value. So our neighbor, our fellow citizens in our workplaces, wherever we are, this is what we have to do, knowing that it's not going to be enough. That's part of the, in fact, this is where the people are going to change, because they would say, you know what, you are good, but they are not good. So if you are good, and then you add to this, the good within your, or through your friendship, through the mutual knowledge, that's going to change. And in fact, the reality of the matter now is that over the last 2 generations, this is exactly what is happening. More and more people, they see the Muslims, and the younger generations, they are not as scared as the older generations. So it's a question of time. We have to be there. We have to show the added value of our presence. At the same time, we should be intellectually aware that it's not going to be easy, that these people who are going to spread fear, they want to target Islam and Muslims in a way where they are changing the image, speaking about our values as being different from the Western values, that Islam is by definition a violent religion. This is where we have to tackle this. So we need intellectuals, we need students, we need people who are equipped to respond to this in an intellectual way and in a political way.
One of the things that was mentioned in there also was from another contributor who said that invite people into the mosque. Again, we're saying that this is going to change things. People have been doing this and having mosque open days for a number of years. It's been going on. It's nothing new. It's no new ideas. But there is a sense from the way the person, maybe I've got that wrong, but from the contributor, that is the solution. That is going to be the magic bullet that's suddenly going to change things around. Is it?
It's not going to change the perception of all the people. But at the same time, it's true that, so as I said, it's not going to change the reality of, and in which way this is a problem. My country, I'm a Swiss citizen, decided that there will be no minarets. Why? Because this is the symbol of the Muslim presence. That we don't want to see you. So how are we going to change this? It's not only by inviting people to the mosque. This is why we need to be creative. In fact, a mosque for a Muslim is a center from where the good should spread. Why do we only invite the people? Why aren't we following in the footsteps of the Prophet, doing things that are solidarity work with the neighborhood, connected with the neighborhood, to show that the mosque is a way where the Muslims are coming for God and getting out for the service of humanity. So we have to go, we have to spread. So once again, it's not enough, it's not going to solve the problem. But the perception that the mosque is only for Muslims and it's completely isolated from the surrounding is wrong. And we need to, we also have to change our mindset, we Muslims, in understanding what is a mosque. When the first thing that the Prophet, peace be upon him, did arriving in Medina, it's a mosque, means what? I'm at home, and then you will see. You will see that my presence will be a peaceful and active, positive presence.
One of the comments that was again picked up and made in there was this idea they all think we're ISIS. Now, my question is, why do they think that we're all ISIS? In the age of the internet, this is completely unacceptable. And why do we need to change that perception? The problem isn't ours, the problem is their perception of Muslims, surely.
Yeah, there is a problem of this perception. And once again, the people who are destroying are more visible than the people who are building. So this Daesh and ISIL destroying and killing are making the headlines, so we speak about them. So what is more vicious is they are not saying that we are all ISIL. The perception is you are not, but potentially you could be. So there is a question mark, there is fear, there is mistrust. So how are you going to change this? I was saying there is an evolution of mistrust, we need a revolution of trust. And the revolution of trust is our presence, our communication, our also clear positioning about condemning what is done in the name of Islam. So we have to be clear about our condemnation, but that's not enough. And then carry on our work. And this is where, once again, the media are covering, intellectuals are commenting, politicians are instrumentalizing. Where are we in the picture? So yes, there is a problem of their perception, but we are also responsible if we don't speak out, if we are not present, if we are not involved in our society, and if we don't feel that we belong to these societies. At the end of the day, do we belong to Britain? Do we belong to the European continent? If yes, this is where we should remember what was said by the prophets, because peace be upon them all, this was in the clip as well, is that, Ya qawmi, my people, you are my people, and now you are going to play the role I have to play. And I know that within my people, there are people who have bad intentions and bad objectives, so this is, I have to challenge them.
And one of the things and you've kind of like talked about it a little bit, and what I want to focus it a little bit more is the idea that by us focusing on Muslim haters, we perhaps don't focus as much on the role that the structure of the establishment plays in developing and allowing these Muslim haters to be born, to be nurtured, and to mature. What do we need to do about that establishment?
Yes, that's a very important question. There are two things that we are doing, and there are two traps. The first one is because we are under attack, or you feel so, we are on the defensive. So we keep on responding to the negative or the prejudices, and this is very wrong. We have to go beyond this, not reacting on what Islam is not and justifying. And this is one thing that we are doing too often, and we don't get this, that we have to get out of this and come with another vision. The second thing that we are doing, and it's exactly what you are saying, is at the end, we respond to acts, we respond to very specific situations, and we don't get the whole system. Because it's a system. There is behind this an ideology. There are people thinking about the way they are playing with different dimensions. You keep on responding to an event. As you know, some people are coming to you and they are saying, oh, Islam is bad, and they come with an anecdote. And you respond to the anecdote. But the anecdote is nothing. It's one person. It's one individual. So, and there is an essentialization of the whole process. Now we need to be very clear. It's not only one event, it's not one act, it's not one behavior. It's something which is a construction. It's an ideology. It's a political vision, and we need to come to the structural racism. To act against one racist act, it's not enough. We need to understand the system behind it. We need to understand who is playing, what are they trying to do. So we can't ask the average citizens to do this, but we need to, and this is why I said many different responses, depending what and who you are targeting and what you are trying to achieve.
And within that, very briefly, is there something, when you're trying to tackle the establishment, what does the individual Muslim do? Briefly, if you could.
What they should do? No, what they should do is, once again, we have to be involved in politics. We have to be involved in this discussion. We need intellectuals, we need politicians tackling this and showing the system the way it works and the connection in the country with the international interest of some lobbies and some organizations that are playing this. It could be about money, it could be about political interest. We need to be equipped. So we need now a generation of European Muslims, Western Muslims, much more equipped politically and intellectually to tackle this and understanding the complexity of the matter.
but not Muslims that are going to sell out, because we've got a number in
That's
the UK.
exactly the point. And this is the sad side of the story. People thinking that I'm going to be accepted as a Muslim if I sell out, if I just token Muslims. That's not the answer. That's the opposite of the right answer.
Very interesting points. If only the media and the politicians didn't hide the true Islam, then we wouldn't have this problem of anti-Muslim hatred. Our focus on encouraging the piety of the individual Muslim in combating this problem takes the lens away from the fundamental problem that this hatred is structural. It has been created by the establishment in a way that will allow ordinary people to manifest their hate in good old-fashioned racist ways or in creative new ways. Bottom line for the white establishment, whatever the method, anti-Muslim hatred must continue. On that cynical note, that's all the time we have for today. I would like to thank Professor Tariq Ramadan for his views and for joining us, and I would like to thank all of you at home for watching. Until next time, goodbye.